Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. We have Maddie Grimaldi with us, and she is an amazing fighter person. You guys are going to enjoy speaking with her and getting to know her. So here we go with Maddie. Hey Maddie, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time. I know you're very busy and you have a lot on your plate, so it means a lot to me that you are able to take some time.
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to this. I love what you do. I love all your work. So,
Thank you so much. How did you get involved with martial arts?
so it's a really funny story actually because I was kind of dragged into it. Um, I was working at a restaurant, and somebody I worked with had been going to Pride Martial Arts in South Kingstown for a really long time, and I was in a weird place in my life where I'm really unmotivated, just really just kind of skating through life. And she was like, "You need to come. You're gonna love it." And I was just like making up every excuse in the book, like, "No, no, no." And then finally, she was like, "Listen, I can take somebody for free." And I was like, "All right." So I went, fell in love with it the first time I went, and just from there it just blossomed into this like beautiful relationship with martial arts, and I've been doing it since 2016, and I wish I started earlier.
Mhm. And is that where you're currently training, Pride Martial Arts?
Yep. So I train under Sensei Andrew Cornell at Pride Martial Arts. It's right near URI in Kingston, Rhode Island. Um, that's where I primarily train. But I mean, the martial arts community is so awesome. So I've been able to branch out, and I've met so many other gyms. You know, like I love
Mhm.
going to Hard Knocks in Mass, and I love the Lausanne MMA crew.
Mhm.
And I've met so many amazing people through martial arts. And I keep kicking myself in the butt for not doing it sooner.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I started back in like '05,
Mm.
and I was like, where has this been all my life? Because it's
Yes.
like, I don't know, it just helps on so many different levels, mentally, physically, emotionally, on every aspect. It's like martial arts covers it. And it's
Yeah.
like, I guess people, I don't know, maybe they just don't say it because they don't want to share the wealth of
Mm.
martial arts, on some level. But
Right. I mean, it definitely impacts everybody differently. You know, like for me,
Mhm.
I started as I needed to start working out. Like I
Mhm.
was just graduating college. You know, all I was doing was drinking and being stupid. And I was like, I need to find some guidance in my life. And
Mhm.
sure, it made me, physically stronger, but the mental aspect that
Mhm.
martial arts gave me has been incredible. Like it helped me find who I wanted to be as a
Mhm.
person, and it helps me through some really tough times. Like basically, if you can get punched in the face, you can take a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. Now, I met you at Lion Fights because you were going to be
Yes.
fighting. How did you get into actually fighting? Because one thing is training, and then the other is
Yeah.
actually getting in the ring.
Right. Right. So I started in February of 2016, and 6 months later, my coach was like, "Hey, are you interested in fighting at all?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So I remember, I want to say I started in February. I think we had a home card a couple months after I started, and I remember going, and I remember watching my teammate April Canavan, who I
Mhm.
believe you know,
Yes.
thinking she was like a superstar, and I was like, "She's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to do this. Like, I think it's awesome." So when I got the opportunity a couple months later, did I feel ready? Maybe, I don't know, but we jumped right in, and it was so much fun. Like I just fell in love with like the exhilarating atmosphere and like the rush of everything, and win, but I had a blast.
Yeah, you had the best energy. Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you.
Like it was just so awesome just being around you and, taking the pictures, your teammates, because I think Doug was fighting
Yep.
that card as well. And it
Yep.
was just, I love the energy. And it's, some people are sometimes caught up in, they're so stressed that, because
Mm,
I get it. Fighting is stressful because I mean, you're sacrificing so much, you
mm,
know, getting ready for this fight, but you still had this energy. And I loved it because it was like, I don't really care if I win or lose. I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like the mentality people need. It's like, I mean, you obviously have to give it your best when you're in the ring. It's not like it's a joke because you take it seriously, but the energy was just awesome.
That's what I try to do. And, you know, I'm not going to lie to you. I do get caught up a lot. And it's so hard not to, because you put so much effort into a fight camp or just training in general. And you want to get that end result of like, okay, I won. I did it all. I did it perfectly. And it's so hard to not put that pressure on your shoulders. And so one of the things that I constantly remind myself is that, like, there's about a 1% of people that know what it feels like to do what I'm doing right now. And it reminds me of how special the whole moment really is. Like, win or lose, like, I got in there and I did the damn thing, you know? So it's just, I try to keep that mentality on the forefront as much as possible, but it's so true. I mean, it's such a mental game with yourself, and I try to make it as lighthearted as I can.
Yeah, there's only one other fighter that I've seen with that same energy as you, and it's Brandy. Is it Brandy?
Brandy, yes. I'm trying to think of what
the same energy, and she's a
I'm trying
tough
to think
fighter.
what team that is. Yeah, so I believe she fought my teammate April Canavan.
Oh, okay.
I think April has fought everybody that you could possibly fight. And that was a really exciting fight to watch. Yeah, Brandy's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, just seeing, and especially the female fighters, it's like, it's not that there are not many of them. It's just that you don't see
I just feel like they're always so exciting. Like, every female fight I've ever watched, it's never a boring fight. No. Like, I feel like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like girls go in there and they're like, I'm gonna knock you out. Like, it's never just like moving around. It's like, I'm gonna kill you. It's always so much fun to watch.
The energy is completely different. And yeah. I think and that's the best part about it, is because people don't really expect it. So when they see and they're like, they're not backing down, like they're really going for it. And I want to see more of it. Because, you know how people say, oh, you hit like a girl. And it's like, do you really know what a girl hits like?
Do you really know what you're saying? Because you're actually complimenting that person.
Exactly.
So, all right, cool. Do you think you'll ever get in there?
In where?
In the ring.
Yeah, to take your picture when you win. But that's about it.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, we're all built different. And I'm not built to be a professional or an amateur fighter. I'm built to train to eventually be one, but I'm never actually going to do it. That's it. So I'll train and I'll do everything. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
That's why I appreciate everyone who gets in the ring.
Yeah.
Because people don't get that there's two sides to it. There's people who train and then there's people who fight.
Right.
And I'll train and I can be your sparring partner, but you'll never see me in the ring unless I'm taking a picture of somebody.
Yeah. I really resonate with that, because I actually am going through like this kind of, I guess you could say, like evolution of how I define myself. And I started martial arts as a way to work out and to help me mentally and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I was fighting every 4 months. And it got to a point where I was like, is this really what I want to do? Like, am I really doing it for the fighting, or am I doing it because I just really like doing it? And I got to a point where I was just taking it way too seriously. And you do have to take it seriously. It's something that you can't just kind of half-heartedly do. Like, if you're going to be a fighter, you have to commit yourself. But I was like, okay, I'm on the amateur level. I don't even know if I'm going to be a pro. Like, I think I need to take a step back and just have fun again. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. Did you come to this conclusion after your last fight, or is it something that you've been contemplating for a while?
Yeah, so it definitely happened after my last fight. I recently fought in Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
And I was fighting against a girl who I will be the first to admit I completely underestimated.
Mhm.
I saw her record on paper and I saw mine and I was like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk, like whatever. She whooped my ass.
Mhm.
And it was a good fight, but it definitely struck a chord in
Mhm.
me that I wasn't as focused as I thought I was, and I was kind of focused on the wrong things. And I had to take a step back and really evaluate, like, why am I getting in? I had to find my why again.
Mhm.
Our coach always talks about what's your why, like why do you
Yeah.
get in there? So I had to do that, and basically what it taught me was I'm not having fun anymore, and I really need to find that zone of like meshing the love of martial arts and meshing the love of fighting again, and just enjoying it again.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. That's very important. That's funny that you say find your why, because I always say stay calm, stay focused, and find your why. Because if you don't have it, it's so difficult to just do anything in life. It's not just fighting. It's not. It's just a day to day, process that we need. Is we need to focus. We need to stay calm because we're never going to really understand anything until we're calm, focused, and then we can have a clear understanding of what our why is. Once we
yeah,
have that, everything else falls into place.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm navigating my whys right now. And luckily it's coming out positively. Like I'm realizing like, oh my God, I love this shit. Like, why am I acting so crazy? So it's almost like I'm falling in love with kickboxing again. So it's been a roller coaster. It's
Yeah.
been great.
Do you feel the pandemic had some sort of influence on your love for the sport?
It definitely reminded me how blessed we are to have martial arts in our
Mhm.
lives. Luckily I am engaged to a martial artist, so we were able to train a lot together and work out together a lot. But not having my team and not having my teammates around all the time, my coach, that was really hard. I didn't realize how much I leaned on them for positivity or, if I was feeling down. So that part of it was really hard to not have. And it
Mhm.
reminded me like, okay, yeah, this is a huge part of my life. And I hope it never goes away ever again.
Yeah. How was your training during all this?
During the pandemic, it was really up and down. I went through phases of like, oh, this is like vacation. Let me just eat everything and not do anything and just, live my best life. And then I started feeling like crap. And then I started training really, really hard again. And by the time, by the time the world started opening back up again, is when I started really heavily training again. And so I would say the pandemic took some time off. It was pretty nice. But you know what? It was nice because a lot of things in my body healed. A lot of things
Yeah.
that like I was ignoring for a really long time feel a lot better now. So that's what I take out of the pandemic.
Yes, no, it's important. I mean, I felt like the pandemic helped some of the fighters where they were always fighting and fighting and fighting, and they were focusing on certain parts of their fight career, but
Mhm.
not allowing themselves to fully recover.
Yeah,
So mentally, they didn't fully recover. Emotionally, sometimes they didn't either. And it takes a
yeah,
toll. They sacrifice so much, and you know how that is. Spending time with family and, your work. Because some have a full time job and they have a career, and then they have to go run and go and train. And that's a whole nother, like, full time job is training if
yeah.
you want to be, a fighter.
I think of my fiance Ross.
Yes.
The guy does so much. It is incredible. Like he's a full-time physical therapist, a full-time fiance, a full-time son, a full-time trainer. Like he's just always doing something, and to find the balance is really tough. So to watch him like have a second to like breathe was
Mhm.
really nice. But yeah, it's definitely a hard balance for sure.
It is. A lot of people don't understand it. They think it's you just go in the ring and that's it. Or,
Yeah,
it's a weekend, just, freshen up a few little training, do two
right,
or three
right,
sparrings, and you're good to go. But it's
right.
not that. It's not that simple. Now,
What I find too is a lot of people in my life think that I literally just fight. So like, so when I'm like, oh, I'm going to the gym, oh, I'm going to the gym, like, why do you fight every day? I'm like, I'm not fighting every day. Like I'm just trading. Like it's silly.
it's like going to the gym is not fighting, but thank you.
Yes, but thank
Now
you.
you you do a lot. So what else do you do in this sport? Because you're involved in a lot.
Yeah. So when I'm not fighting, I'm trying to be involved as much as I can. I
Mhm.
love reporting. I love sideline reporting. So I've done it for Lion Fight a couple times on CES Sports, which was amazing. Like that was actually my first chance at being able to do something like that. And so I'm very thankful for Lion Fight for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah.
And it was just so exciting. Like I work in broadcasting,
Mhm.
so to be able to marry my love of broadcasting and my love of martial arts was like, oh, this just makes sense. Like it
Yeah.
just feels good. So I'm doing that, and now I've recently teamed up with CES to commentate for boxing and MMA, and I'm just like, I'm so excited to get a front row seat to some of the best fighters on the East
Yeah.
Coast. Like it's just, like you have probably the best seat in the house. Like you are right up in there. Mine's second best. And it's so much fun being able to experience the fight game in a different way.
Yeah, it's amazing. The experience is you get to see it from a different perspective. Like you would see it being in the ring. Then you would see it as a teammate, but now you're seeing it as a, broadcaster, as a commentator. So now
Yeah.
you get to really kind of like fine tune all these different aspects that you have. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like you're doing something
Yeah.
that you love and
Yes.
you're putting it all together. And I don't know if it's different for you, but for me, it kind of like all made sense. Like, oh my gosh, like all my training is coming together because now I understand why the fighters do this, why the promoters do that, why the judges do this, why the referees do that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
as a
It,
fan, I kind of like, oh, now I feel really bad for saying you should have done this, you should have done that, because you don't really.
Oh, my favorite is my dad at the end of every fight. You should have put your hands up. Oh, okay, Dad. Thanks. Like, thanks. Yeah, you're right. But it's really cool to analyze things. It's hard because
Mhm.
as a fan, you obviously pick your favorite fighter. As a teammate, you're obviously rooting for your
Mhm.
teammate. But as an analyst, you have to be very like in the middle. And I'm finding that's really difficult because it's hard when you're a fan.
Yes.
You're watching through a fan's eyes, but I mean, you must deal with that too because you want
Mhm.
to take the same amount of pictures for both sides, and it gets a little challenging, but it's a good challenge.
It is. I've actually kind of like forced myself after the years to completely like just separate myself of.
Mm.
Actually, there was one time that I didn't shoot, but it was because I really wanted to support my friend. I'm like, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
can't shoot. And he's
yeah.
like, oh, but I really want you to take the pictures, and it's just like, no, but I can't because
I'll
if
be
I
super biased.
do, yeah, like if I do, like yeah, you're gonna get great pictures, and the other person is gonna get great pictures, but I'm not gonna be able to enjoy it,
Hmm.
and I really want to support, the fighter. So that was like the one
Right.
time, and then after that, I was like, all right, now I feel really bad because not everybody sees it the way I see it.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't now, it's like it doesn't matter who's in the ring, who's in the cage. I see them both the same. Like
Yeah.
they're
That's
both
great.
fighters. They're both gonna get the best quality pictures. They're gonna get the best. And even before I got to that point, I always thought, okay, I don't want them thinking that I'm favoring this corner over the other. So I'll try to make sure that I get more. But it also has to fit, it has to fit in the angle because if they're standing on one side, I can't shoot. It's like
Right.
they're not gonna let me run around and be like, excuse me, you can't be doing
Right.
that. It's like, okay, I'm
You
sorry.
can't be in two places at once, you know?
I can't, so I've learned to find that balance, and then I'd have to go back and then see the fight and then actually enjoy it as, okay, let me enjoy the fight, because at that moment I can't be the red corner, I can't be the blue
Yeah.
corner. I just
I
have to
mean,
be
oh, I
the
get
ring.
so nervous. I get so nervous when my friends or my fiance fights. Like when I'm fighting, I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. But when I when I watch my friends fight, it's like it's so hard. It's so hard because it's like I just want to like be there for them. And like it's so hard.
It is, because then you have to be professional.
Right.
Because some people don't understand that these are your teammates. So they see you as that fighter who fought on this card. So now you have to be a professional version. You can't, and a lot of people forget that because you're your own brand.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
So it's very important for people to understand that you have to hold yourself and carry yourself a certain way, because at the end of the day, if you don't, you can't be surprised if a promotion doesn't want you to be a part of their team, because it's the way you handle yourself.
Yes.
That is very important. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been doing this for way too long.
No, I think you're spot on. And I think our team, Pride Martial Arts, has done a really good job of always being respectful and being professional. We have 2 professional fighters, Doug Holland and Ross Levine, and they're incredible representatives of our team. But our amateur level fighters are just as, take it just as seriously. Like we're training right next to Doug and Ross all the time. And we try to bring that, positivity and respectfulness to everything we do. And I feel like that's why we're always considered for a lot of things, for a lot of cards, because we get it. We understand it's hard to put on a show. And people just want to be respected,
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's a sport, and I don't know. This is my opinion, which it doesn't really matter. But having people just get on minimizing the sacrifices, the training, the knowledge that it takes to be in a sport is kind of frustrating for me, because it's like, you seriously think that you're just going to jump in this ring and you're going to knock this person out because you saw, a show, you saw Creed 2 or something.
Right.
You think, Rocky 4 or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And great. But you understand that you have to train a lot to get there.
I started training UFC about 2 weeks ago. I'm so ready.
What? I hate it when people are like, yeah, she trains UFC. I'm like, no, I don't train UFC.
First of all, you can't train UFC.
I can't. I'm like, no, I don't train UFC.
Yeah, but it's so true.
Who are in the UFC, but I don't train it.
Yeah.
And then it's like trying to explain to them that it's mixed martial arts. And by mixed martial arts, it's mean people are trained in different aspects of martial arts. It's not just, in their eyes, mixed martial arts is just ground technique. And it's just like, no, it's not. You have
so much of my family think I do MMA, and they're like, oh yeah, like she does MMA. I'm like, I would be like a deer on ice if I tried to wrestle. Like there's no, I've taken about 3 jiu-jitsu classes and I've watched it, but I don't do I kickbox, and that's what I do. Like it's so funny, but it's one thing if you want to learn and you're like very interested in learning about the differences, but you're so right. Like the people that just think that they can just go in and do it, it's almost insulting, Yes.
I take so much offense to it. You have no idea. I'm just like, oh. And then I'm like, I don't hope you get knocked out, but I really hope you get knocked out so you get taught a lesson,
So it sounds like you're a big fan of Logan Paul then, or Jake Paul. Yeah.
Oh yeah, such a fan. I got to. Oh my God, you have no idea how frustrated I was. I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, how can you? How? Like,
it's just God. I wanted Ben Askren to win so bad, so badly. But like if he's really training that much where he's going to be that good for him. Exactly. But there's no way that he should be making more money than people in the UFC. Like it's just, I could talk about that for hours.
I know.
For hours.
We can do that later over coffee.
Yes, that'll be a different podcast or something.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God, it's so infuriating to me. Anyways, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna stay here exactly. Do you have any fights lined up?
So not right now. I was going to be fighting in Orlando for 4th of July, the IKFs.
Okay.
Ended up pulling out just because I just wasn't in it. I couldn't get focused, and I really didn't want to do it half-assed. And I decided to be an adult and focus on mental health, and that's just, that's the choice I went with. But luckily I have a lot of teammates fighting. So it'll be the first time where I might be in the corner for some of my fighters, or excuse me, some of my teammates. So I'm really excited about that, to see another side of the game I've never seen. And I think they're going to do really well. I've been working extremely hard, and it's going to be fun. I mean, we're going to be in Orlando for 4th of July, so it's going to be great.
That's awesome. Now, I want to understand, how did you come to this decision that you didn't want to take the fight? Because I know some fighters where they shouldn't take a fight, and they still go and they do it. And so what would you like to tell fighters on the importance of, actually, if you feel this way, why you should?
I'm really excited to talk about it, actually, because I feel like just talking to my teammates as well, like it's just not talked about enough with the mental strain that fighting has. And I signed up for this tournament in like February, March. I was like, I got to do it. Like, I've always wanted to do a tournament. And within the last maybe month and a half, so really right after my last fight, which was May, I don't even remember now. What day is it? I don't even know what day it is. So I think it was April, sometime in April. so after that fight, I was really heartbroken after that loss. I was at my lowest confidence level. I felt like I didn't belong in the ring anymore. I didn't even feel like training anymore. And that was the first time where I felt like that. And I really had to have a lot of conversations with myself, with my coach, with teammates that I trusted, about why I felt this way. And I was dealing with PTSD from other fights, and it all came down to the why. I kind of lost sight of why I started fighting in the first place. And one of the reasons I started fighting in the first place was because it was fun. And for me, it's different because I don't know if I'm ever going to be a professional. So for me, it's always been, okay, if you're having fun, then you're doing it right. Whereas my fiance, Ross, who's a professional, he might have to fight through those barriers of okay, I don't want to do it, but I have to, type of thing. And I think fighters just really need to have, or be comfortable with having those conversations with themselves, because my ego got in the way hardcore. I was like, I can't, I'm going to look like such a loser, or I'm going to look like I'm lazy, or I'm going to look like I am lazy. And I was reminded by so many people in my life that I look up to that who are you going to look lazy towards? Who is the person that you're worried about? Because if you can't look in the mirror and appreciate or accept what you're saying to yourself, why are you focused on what other people are going to say about you? So once I started thinking that way and realizing that I was more annoyed that I was training than I was having fun, that was the time where I was like, okay, I don't want to take this fight. So I've been working a lot on just mentally getting back to a good place. And it just feels really good to actually listen to myself and just say okay, take a step back. And I feel like a lot of fighters in Rhode Island, well, not Rhode Island, but on the East Coast, they're so good. They are just so good. They're young, they're hungry. And it's all of these elements are in their favor. And if there's one thing I would want to say to fighters that might be struggling with mental health, you have time. Listen to what your mind and body is saying, because it's just going to catch up to you in the end. It really is. So, and if you need anybody to talk to, I got you. I just want to take care of everybody.
Exactly. I hear you. I know how that feels. You mentioned PTSD.
Yes.
What were your signs that you realized that you had PTSD from your previous fights?
So I wasn't calling it that for a long time. I just thought like, oh, like they're in my head or whatever. But after that last fight and I went to go train, I was seeing her face in the bag, like when I was punching. And there was actually a moment when I went to go train in Mass, and we were in this like clinch exchange, and I lost my breath and I just started crying, like heavy, ugly crying. And I don't do that. Like, I don't like to cry in front of people. It's one of those ego things where I'm like, no, that means you're not tough. So I, was just like bawling my eyes out, and I could not believe that I was crying in front of people that I don't really know.
Yeah.
And so, I had a headache and that sort of thing, but it was really like these just like mental images that were coming up that I had never dealt with before. And I think that was the biggest thing too that made me like, okay, what's going on, Maddie? Like, I think you need to take a step back.
And how have you been handling these different
it's been going great. I mean, once I took that step back, once I honestly took the stress out of, okay, you're not fighting in a few weeks, it was like 1,000 pounds was lifted off my back. And I was able to just focus on doing what I love to do. And what I love to do is train. And not to mention, like, my fiance does a really good job of like putting things into perspective. And he's like, you're worried about this person, but this person is already over it. Like, this person's already getting ready for another fight. Like, they're not thinking about you, So I think just moving forward, understanding that life goes on and you're not defined by the wins and losses has really helped me. But again, like, I'm on the amateur level, so it's hard to know how I would act if I was a professional, because I feel like if I was losing as a professional, I would not handle it very well. So I can only say to people in the fight game, like, just really listen to yourself and don't be afraid to like confront those fears.
That's a good point. Some things that I've always thought about is that your amateur career it's very important. It's extremely important. I mean, I get that some people say, you're padding your record or you're doing this, but you need to really kind of take a step back and look at what's like the big picture. Now, you have two fighters going into a ring or going into a cage, and they're both amateurs. Obviously, one's going to win, one's going to lose. Now, the person who loses needs to learn from that experience. Just as the person who's winning is learning from this experience, because now they're implementing all their training into it, and now they're getting something out of it. Now, the person who loses doesn't lose in the sense that, okay, they didn't get the win, but they're learning from that experience. Now, if they really want to take it to the next level, this is the time where this is like you're playing.
This is where you test yourself. Yeah.
This is, people spar, and then when they spar and they do everything, boom, they go into the ring or they go into the cage, and now they get to see, did everything I learned, am I really putting it into play or am I not?
Absolutely.
Now, because, you have this game plan and you're doing what you need to do, but when you're actually in there, it's a totally different story.
Oh, God,
now,
yeah.
You have to somehow turn everybody off and just focus on that one voice and go with it. Now, everything that you've trained, now you get to see whether or not you've actually have that muscle memory where you're going to put everything into play. Now, a lot of people who say they want to be a professional, because just to say that they're a professional, they go through all this and then they go too quickly to becoming a becoming
Well, it's usually fighters that added their amateur record for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like it gets erased as soon as you're a professional. You're 0-0 again as soon as you're a professional. So why not? I've never understood that. Like, lying about your record or trying to keep it perfect, or like, why not fully like, wouldn't you want to fully test yourself before you decide, yes, I'm a professional? Like, wouldn't you want to fight the toughest person in your weight class before you were like, yep, okay, I can do this, I'm going to be a professional?
Exactly. Now, some people, I totally understand when that person that they're fighting is really tough and nobody wants to fight them. That's a different scenario. Yeah. Now they jump and they become a professional, and then it's sad because you see these, and I'm not going to say managers because they shouldn't even be called managers. They're leeches, right? I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to say something about this, but
whatever.
Now, they are preying on these amateurs because they have talent, but they don't really know what's happening. So now they pull them. You should be a professional. You should do this without really testing them. Let's see, why don't you fight this particular person? Because I see that you've been fighting all these people and, whatever. Let's try this. No, but they want to keep their record to be an undefeated, whatever. All right, they go and now they ruin their professional career. They ruin it. Why? Because they didn't fully test every single scenario out there. Now, guess what? All their chances of being in the UFC, being in one championship, being on a level that they really, really desire to be at is gone. Their dream is gone. Not just because they weren't tested the way they should have been tested when they were the amateur, but because now they have leeches who just want to put them and say, hey, I matched up this fight. That's great that you matched up this fight, but you're really ruining this person's career because you're not really looking at the best interests of the fighter. You're looking at your best interests because now all you really want to say is that I did this. I matched up this fight. Doesn't really matter if you matched up this fight because
you're not the one getting in there.
You're not. And guess what? Now you ruin the person's career. So now if you want to take credit, you're going to take credit for ruining this person's career.
Right. And I mean, just like in anything, I mean, there's good managers, there's bad managers, but unfortunately there's a lot more bad managers than there are good managers. And I've seen a lot of friends take falls for choices that managers made. It's really sad. And it's hard because, like anything, I honestly like correlate it sometimes to the way a child is raised is almost like very the same as a fighter coach relationship. Like a child's going to turn out the way that they were raised. A fighter is going to turn out the way that they were taught. It's just like this. So it's like you can only hope that they have guidance and a good coach at the very beginning so they can sense all that. But unfortunately, it's not always like that.
Yeah, that's why it's important to know who's in your corner, who's in your best interest.
Absolutely.
It's just like it's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's, when you're in a relationship and you're in a toxic relationship, you're going to see certain signs and there are red flags. It's the same thing with your corners and it's the same thing with your managers. You have to take the time to get to know them, figure out, do they really have your best interests at heart? If not, then you need to learn how to walk away from it in a professional, respectful manner, because even if this person does you wrong, you can't go around bad mouthing them because if they don't really know the story, now it's going to fall on you saying, oh, well, this person is, heartbroken.
Yeah, it never ends up well.
Exactly. So you need to always hold yourself accountable in a respectful manner and do things in the best manner. But it's always important to know who your corner is, to know who your coaches are, to know who your trainers are, because some fighters, this is a family, and there are toxic families and there are good families. And it's important that you pick the right training place. Because if not, I mean, you're going to set yourself up. I mean, unless all you want to do is train and you don't really want to do a career or anything, then hey, that's fine. But if you're really looking for something,
do your research. Yeah,
exactly. And it's, you know what, but like, just because like, I've never been to Pride, but if it didn't work for me, if I went and it just wasn't a good matchup, it doesn't mean that Pride is a bad place. It just means that it wasn't for me.
Right.
And that's
I totally agree.
Need to understands is you go to a place and you check it out. And if it doesn't work, then you go to the next one that fits you. Because just because it fits you doesn't mean it's going to fit me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. So, and instead of just talking bad about a gym or talking bad about a coach or a manager, move on to what works for you. And that's it. I mean,
Absolutely.
unless they did something really
Messed up, but
exactly,
yeah.
then
Yeah.
you go from there.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
Maddie, where would you like to go from here?
That's a great question. I'm constantly figuring that out. No, I think my biggest goal is I love fighting and I love the fight game.
Yeah.
I don't see myself turning professional, but what I do see is my career growing with broadcast journalism. And I would love to find a gig where I'm commentating or I'm ringside reporting, or basically I want to be Megan O'Leary. That's basically what I want to do. Megan, just quit your job already so I can take it, is basically what it is. So hopefully I can get to that point, but we're taking steps every day. I'm taking steps to that point, and I'm just reminding myself to enjoy the ride and that my hard work will pay off. So
I see you getting there. I see you achieving all of your goals and so much more.
oh, thanks, girl.
You're welcome. Is there anything that you would like to share before we conclude with the interview?
Let's see. I hope everyone has a great day. No, I'm just kidding. In all honesty, I love the fight community. I'm so grateful to be a part of the fight community, to be a part of martial arts. It's given me so many blessings. It's I've met so many wonderful people, and mental health is super important. So if you feel like you're struggling with mental health, don't be afraid to take a second and deal with it, because once I did, I felt amazing. So shout out to the East Coast, because we have the best fighters around. And I look forward to the next fight card, whatever that may be.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your day, and I appreciate your time.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.